Sports Network starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Roxamore Sports Network feature presentation of the 2019 Year in Review. As you know, tomorrow marks the final calendar day of the 2019 year, but before we pop the champagne and move on to the 2020 year, we'd like to reminisce a little bit through some of the best plays and the top players in the 2019 athletic season here on the Roxamore Sports Network. Hiawatha Hudson to my left, Craig Thomas to my right. Let's get started here on the 2019 Year in Review, and we're going to get things kicked off with the football division. Of course, it wasn't the best season for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. They got off to their worst start in history. 0-5 is their worst since 1987, and 3-7 to end the year, 1-6 in conference. Craig, what can you tell us about the season for the Wolverines?
Yeah, it was a tough start for the turquoise and black. Starting out, they were in the hole from the beginning. They had several players that were ineligible academically and a couple players that were injured. But starting out with difficulty, being able to move the ball up and down the field, putting points on the board. So starting out with the first, actually 6 losses in a row, including preseason, was the worst start in Woodland Hills history. But although we had a tough season, there was some bright standout players. There's people that did have good seasons amongst the struggles of the team. I look at Rodney Stubbs, who started out at quarterback and moved to defense and became a staple on the defense for the Wolverines. Also, Deontay Williams, who's a sophomore that was inserted partway through the season and became the starting quarterback, played well. And then also we would be remiss if we didn't mention Tariq Scipio, who's a junior wide receiver, who made plays both offensively and defensively to help the Wolverines down the stretch. But my most valuable player for the Wolverines in 2019 has to be Will Clark. Will Clark made plays in special teams. He made plays on the offense side of the ball. Another 1,000-yard rusher for the Wolverines, and he also made plays on defense as well. But going forward, there's going to have to be some things that's going to have to be corrected coming out the gate. The Wolverines are going to have to come out the gate and start fast. They're going to have to play to the players that they have available to them. So the style has to suit the players. You can no longer just run traditional plays, knock people off the ball. You have to use the players that you have. You have speed and agility. Use that to your advantage to win games.
And Will Clark certainly was a star for this team, and a team really in Woodland Hills that is used to seeing stars. They've had 14 players in the NFL, a couple of big names including Jason Taylor, and of course multiple-time Super Bowl winner Rob Gronkowski. A fun fact here, they actually have more NFL players than any other Whitfield high school, which is a great fact to have. It's a great stat to have, and Will Clark was really the standout. But now we're going to move from Woodland Hills to the playoff situation. A lot of great games as we ended the season in the Whitfield. I'll let you take it through the 6 and 5A championships.
So closing out, before we go back to the before we go to the Whitfields, one thing I'd like to say, going forward for the Wolverines, though, we're going to have to get back to football has to be a way of life and not just a game for the Wolverines. There's a lot of pride and tradition there, but going forward, they're going to have to make big plays. They have some players going off to Division I. A lot of players should be playing college. Will Clark, we look forward to seeing him. Joshua Rollins is going to play for the Virginia Cavaliers. So we'll look forward to seeing some of these players play at the next level and continue that tradition of great Woodland Hills football. Now, moving on to the Whitfield 1A, the 6A Central Catholic was the winner of the 6A division over Pine Richland 10-7. It was a defensive battle. Great football game, but overall, Central Catholic continued their winning tradition, adding another championship banner to their collection. On the 5A side, we had Gateway Gators come out on the top of the division there. They came out last year and they were put out of the playoffs early, and they came back and avenged that and ended up winning the 5A division, where Penn Hills, who made a great run last year, they were put out early this season.
It was really surprising not to see Penn Hills in that championship game. Of course, a powerhouse team last year winning the championship, getting knocked out early. We now take it to the 4A championship, where Thomas Jefferson beat Bell Vernon in a very non-tightly contested game, 41-7. And then in the 3A championship, Central Valley in a tight one beat Aliquippa 13-12 in overtime. And talk me kind of through the end of that game, because it was a thriller.
Yeah, that was a thriller. It was a opportunity for Aliquippa to just continue on to play another overtime session, and they chose to go for the win. We can't fault them for going for the win, but that's a tough decision, and the coach made that call, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. But great game overall. Both teams put in great effort, and it was just a great, highly contested football game.
So Craig, now go ahead and take us to the 2A and 1A Whitfield championships.
Yeah, the 2A championship was won by Avonworth over Washington. Former teammate and player, co-teammate on Woodland Hills' first football team, Duke Johncore, is actually the coach of Avonworth. So congratulations to Duke, along with Barry Johncore, who's his dad, has helped coach that team, and they won their first championship this year. Then in the 1A division, you had Clareton 41-19 over Stowe Rocks.
So that will complete the 2019 football wrap-up here on the Year in Review. We're going to go ahead and take a short break here from the Roxamore Sports Network. We'll be right back with bowling action.
Hi, welcome to Fit for Boxing Club.
Here at Fit for Boxing, you'll find a fast, fun, and effective workout where you can burn up to 1,000 calories.
Come try a free class at Fit for Boxing, where beginners are always welcome. It's fun for the whole family, people of all ages. Old or young, it doesn't matter. In addition to our trainer-led workouts, we also offer private lessons, community fundraiser and team building events for local companies and more.
Hi, my name's Mario. I've been a member at Fit 4 Boxing for a little over a year now. If you need to get a good workout in, come to Fit 4 Boxing, and Rich and his staff will take care of each and every one of you.
Fit for Boxing Club is located in Hampton Township, just outside of the city of Pittsburgh on William Flynn Highway. Come learn how to box and have fun. Call Fit for Boxing Club at 412-213-3584 or visit our website at www.fit4boxingclub.com.
We'd like to welcome you back to the 2019 Roxamore Sports Network Year in Review. So we were at football. We're going to the bowling alley for bowling in 2019, a year of a lot of firsts here on the Roxamore Sports Network. And it just so happened we had our first ever bowling broadcast as the Woodland Hills Wolverines went to White Oak Lanes to take on the McKeesport Tigers. Craig Thomas was there on the call. What'd you see?
Well, we saw a great bowling match between two teams. McKeesport Tiger women came out and pretty much dominated the Lady Wolverines. But during that first match, Jonna Hill had a standout game, and she shot well against the entire match. But the Lady Tigers were too much. Now on the boys' side, there was a split between the first two matches, and the boys' side, Dan Potowski, he actually bowled well, but overall, the McKeesport Tiger boys came out victorious in that match as well.
So the next match for the Woodland Hills Wolverines, covered on the Roxamore Sports Network, will be against Braddock on Wednesday, January 8th at 3:30. So once again, we're going to go ahead to another short break and bring you right back to the action in the basketball division here on the Roxamore Sports Network. We are live here at the 2019 Year in Review, brought to you by the Roxamore Sports Network. We head from bowling to hoops, high school hoops with Woodland Hills High School. The boys team has had a roller coaster of a season. Started out 0-5. They are now 5-9 after picking up some big wins, and they are led by head coach Matt Furjanik. And you were telling me he was hired a little bit later than you would expect a head coach to be.
Yeah, there was it was an opening job vacancy there. And so there was a search, and Coach Furjanik was actually hired late in October, I believe, when it was finalized. So that put the players kind of behind 8 ball. They had to depend on their athletic director, Ron Corsi, to kind of be the surrogate and fill in and keep them motivated and keep the team together until they could get, solidified a head coach. And he did a good job at that as well. But starting out the season behind the 8 ball, but they seemed like they're starting to gel a little bit more. They had a signature win at Greensburg-Salem, an overtime victory, which was a great game by both teams. But the Wolverines came out victorious in that game. I think we have a highlight that we wanted to go to. We had a great player that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, Shamar McCoy, we'll take you to the highlight now, had an emphatic slam, as you will see in that one. And actually, it was a nice slam dunk, but it was even better that it was in the fourth quarter in crunch time. So we'll now take you to that.
So we're here in the fourth quarter in a close match, and both teams are going back and forth, and the Wolverines are playing good defense, and Greensburg is playing well. Get the ball down the court. Great opportunity.
And here it comes. Keep your eye down low. He's waving for the ball down in the post. They finally feed it to him. 2 steps. And the power slam for Shamar McCoy. as that was probably the top highlight from that game, but Woodland Hills would end up coming out with the win after an impressive performance there by Velton Kinney. Velton Kinney's really been a star for this team all season. He started coming off the bench for the Wolverines. Then he finally got his playing time. He found his spot in the starting role. We call him Velvet Velton Kinney because of his smooth touch from downtown. But yeah, he's just been a great player for the Wolverines. And then also Jihad Denard has been lighting it up this season. We really say he's feast or famine because he's either dropping 22 points or 4. But when he has it going on, he's doing a great job for the Woodland Hills Wolverines and the men's team. They have a ton of potential coming up, and just look for them to take care of the ball. The turnovers have been a huge issue for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. So if they can clean that up, they can continue to hit shots. You know they're going to play defense, so they got to keep doing that. And they can end up having a pretty successful season after starting out 0-5.
Right, they're very scrappy, and they although they're small in stature, they are very scrappy and very athletic, and they'll have a great season if they can continue to gel and grow together.
Yeah. So that takes us to the girls division. They got off to a hot start, and they've really carried that momentum. They beat Peters Township in the opening game in a tip-off tournament. Peters Township, the defending 6A champ, so that's a great win and a really marquee win for that team. And they have a couple players that have stood out to you.
Yeah, so first of all, their guards, both of the Jasmine, Fishers, and Dunn, they have a great offensive backcourt. They have Jasmine Dunn has done a great job being the floor general, dishing the ball out. And Jasmine Fisher also has made several big shots, three-point shots along during this season. But they have also a couple other players I'd like to mention. Tatiana Vasquez, who's a great player, two-way player, offensively and defensively. She provides the glue to hold that team together. But you also have Joy Burley and Peyton Pickney, who are great down low, and they are a force for the later Wolverines. Peyton Pickney scored 32 points, I think, against Oakland Catholic in their last time out. And I'm looking forward to a great season for these ladies.
Yeah, and keep your eyes open here on the Roxamore Sports Network. You can check our website, but a big game coming for the women's team as they will be playing at Quicken Loans Arena, home of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That'll be on Sunday the 8th at 2:30. So make sure you keep checked for that. And we're going to take a quick break once again here on the Roxamore Sports Network. We'll bring you right back to this highlights from the 2019 season. Like to welcome you back to the Roxamore Sports Network Year in Review. Before we move on to the next division, we'd like to take you through a standout athlete that we got the chance to watch shine for Laurel Highlands High School in Rodney Gallagher. He came in as the 21st ranked freshman in the rankings of all hoopers in the nation. This kid is a walking bucket. Let's send it to his highlights as he had a heck of a game against Woodland Hills. He got a little bit of a slow start in the first half. He only had 3 points. That was 2 of them there alongside a free throw. But after a tough battle by the Wolverines, you see Deontay Williams coming the other way. It was a tight game, tied up at the half, and you really didn't see much of Gallagher, but he would come alive in the second half. We'll see that soon. As a good job fighting down in the post, and Jihad Denard, we talked about him earlier, getting his work down there. And here is when Rodney Gallagher took off. In the third quarter, gets his first bucket of the second half, pull-up jumper at the elbow. No doubt about it. He loved that elbow spot, hitting it once again. And now he's going to come in, get the screen. I don't need it. Deep from downtown, gets the bucket to go. Rodney Gallagher, a sniper beyond three-point range, and they're going to come out and play on him, so he'll take the floater and then ends the game with the three-pointer once again. He had 20 of his 23 points in the second half and an absolutely standout performance for Rodney Gallagher. We look forward to seeing him play the rest of the season. We also look forward to a lot of stars that we're going to see in the Martin Luther King tournament coming up for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. 32 teams, 26 games we'll be covering, and a lot of talent. So that'll conclude the basketball division wrap-up. We're going to go ahead and take one more break here on the Roxamore Sports Network, bring you right back to the action. Welcome back to the Roxamore Sports Network 2019 year-end review. We're going to jump right back into it to the soccer division. The girls team got off to a slow start, and they picked it up midway through the season, but they could not make the playoffs. They ended the year with a record of 4-8 and 1 tie, once again not making the playoffs. The boys team, however, did make the playoffs. They would lose to Fox Chapel in the first round of that one. And in the volleyball division, another up and down year. They were 8-5-1, so they got the winning record. But as with the boys soccer team, they lost in the first round of the playoffs to Butler High School. So just a quick update there from boys and girls soccer and volleyball. We're going to take another short break here on the Roxamore Sports Network. Stay tuned. We're going to wake up Hiawatha over here as we bring you the boxing division action. We'll be right back.
Pardon me, ma'am. My Sound Wireless Delivery, the Line Edition?
We welcome you back. We are going to conclude our 2019 year in review in the boxing division. He's awake, Hiawatha Hudson, our boxing analyst. He's finally ready to talk, and he's got a lot on the slate today. So Pittsburgh boxing, it's on the come up. A lot of big things happened in 2019. We're going to get things started with the star fighter, maybe the pound-for-pound best fighter in Pittsburgh, and he's certainly making a lot of national headway. Go ahead and take us through it.
You got Jarrell Sherrill here. Jarrell, he started this year out on the Contender. I mean, a great season. He had quite a few wins on that show. I mean, the kid, he's definitely an eye catcher out there in boxing. I mean, the kid, he has a lot of great skill, good footwork, and and here in the Pittsburgh area, he has a big fan base here as well. And he had a little hiccup in his little it was a Pittsburgh debut coming back from the Contender. So I mean, it was big fight, a lot of people there. You know, I mean, he had a little hiccup there, lost that fight. But I mean, I've seen him in the gym. I mean, I've talked to him and I've seen him in the gym working out. I'm looking forward to see what he's going to bring next year, because I'm telling you, I mean, he's putting the work in. So now I just want to see him reap the benefits of the work that he's putting in.
What would you say is his greatest strength as a boxer?
His IQ. I mean, he's very smart in that ring, you know. And I think with the fight that he lost, it was one of those deals where you have to be on point at all times. Okay. And I think he just got a little lax and got caught.
And then another one that's been off to a heck of a start, 6-0, Richie Catalina.
Richie Catalina, that's he's actually one of my fighters. You know, I mean, I helped train Richie. Richie, now I will say, out of all the fighters here in Pittsburgh, like his fan base is, I mean, ridiculous. Those guys, they have pictures, they have banners. I mean, Richie is a phenomenal fighter. I mean, great person outside the ring, but a monster in that ring. I mean, I always say he has that Conor McGregor look because he has all the tattoos, yes. You know. He definitely looks the part, but he's a great fighter. I mean, very skilled in that ring. And what a lot of people underestimate is his power. He has power in both hands, and he's what we call a switch hitter in boxing. You know, he's a righty, but he switches over to southpaw so easy and so smoothly to where when I'm doing pad work with him, it confuses me because at times he switches and it's so, like the transition is so smooth, like you don't even know that he did it. And I mean, he confused us as trainers, and he confused a lot of the boxers. And I mean, and like you said, he's 6-0. He got 2 knockouts, but I think his power is overrated. I mean, it's underrated because, I mean, everybody that he's fought, he's rocked.
He has a great boxing name too, Richie Catalina.
Richie Catalina.
Yeah.
The Catalina Kid.
He definitely looks the part.
Yeah. And the next one on our list, he's a knockout king. 7 wins, 0 losses, 7 knockouts as a professional. He's perfect. If he touches you, you're going to the mat. What can you tell me about Keontae Irving?
Man, wow, this Keontae Irving, he's so skilled, and his power is like ridiculous. And the thing I like about Keontae, he knows how to switch his punches out. You know, he'll start off like, you know what I mean? He'll go like a little slight 1-2, but then he speeds it up. It's like his range of the speed and then he's long as well. I mean, the kid he hits you from spots that you don't think he can hit you from.
And
You know,
look at the picture, how long his arms are. That reach has to be an advantage against anyone he's fighting. Especially, he's a lighter boxer for his height, so having that reach against smaller opponents definitely has to be helpful.
the thing too. I mean, like his footwork is great. I mean, and his IQ in the ring, and then his whereabouts in the ring. Like, I mean, just watching it, like he's a work of art to just watch him box. But then to see that power, to me, I look at him kind of like a lower weight class Deontay Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay. And Keontae Irving, of course, he's been a pro for a while. He's had 7 fights now. A new pro coming onto the scene, actually made his pro debut in 2019, Johnny Spells.
Yes, Johnny Spells. I like this kid. I mean, I know him personally. You know, I mean, I know his father. His father is his trainer. I mean, you talking about someone that's slick. I mean, this kid he's slick as a can of oil. I mean, he's so smooth in the ring. It's like he moves around in the ring so gracefully. It's amazing. And he was actually down in Baltimore at Tank Davis' gym down there, his Upton gym. I mean, and they raved about him down there, saying like how good of a boxer he was. And at that time, he hadn't even made his pro debut. He was still an amateur. Right. And they was talking about him, and I mean, they was praising him. I mean, he come back here, and I know when he came back, he had that look, you know, that look. And actually, I'm sorry, he worked with Gary Russell Jr. too down in Washington D.C. So I mean, he's been around. He's very seasoned, and I look at his amateur career, like there was nothing else for him to do in that amateur career. Like he had to go pro, and to see him out there in his first 2 pro fights, I mean, again, and that was a work of art as well. Just that graceful movement, that smoothness. You know what I mean? Real nice, smooth. Throw shots from any direction. And his first fight, we literally thought that they should have stopped it a little bit earlier. But like the kid was taking a lot of good shots, but he was never Johnny, like the kid could not touch him, like with no shots. It was crazy. It was like seeing what boxing is really all about: hit and not get hit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And our final pro boxer, we'd like to point out Luella McClamey. He's gotten off to a hot start. He's doing very well. I mean, you're close with him. What's he been up to?
Well, Luella, as we call him, Lou, he's one of my fighters as well. You know, Lou, I call him the Paul Williams of Pittsburgh. You know, he's tall. He's like about 6'1". You know what I mean? Tall, long, rangy. Has good power, good foot movement. And the thing I like about Lou, his fighter's name is the Gentleman, and he's a gentleman outside of that ring, but he get in that ring and you see him turn that switch on. This year he had a 3rd round knockout, and I mean it was beautiful. Like there's just the way he set it up, but like with Lou, and when I just to go back to what I was saying about the Paul Williams effect, is I can see Lou being in that range of like he fights at he's like 6'1", but he fights at 135. That's kind of unheard of.
So he could easily go up a couple weight classes.
Oh,
right?
with ease. I mean, like with his frame, I could say with his frame, he probably could go up to probably about 147 with ease and be comfortable. So what we're finding problems in now is getting people to sign on that dotted line, because Lou, like I said, he can go from 147 to 135 with ease, and when you get in that 135 range, you get a lot of guys. Say for instance, Tank Davis. Yeah. Lou is 6'1". Tank Davis, you know what I mean, pro fighter, just had a fight just past weekend. He's only like 5'5". So you see that difference in that range. Like, and I will say, I can't wait to see what Lou's going to do this year, because right now we have a lot of the irons in the fire.
Look forward to seeing what you have coming
Yeah.
with them.
Definitely.
So that will conclude for our pro division boxing. We now move to the amateurs, and what a great person to get started with. Rebecca Main, one of my favorite boxers in Pittsburgh. Her story is awesome. She was in Oxnard, California for the Last Chance qualifiers. She won her matches there. Then she went to Louisiana, was just 2 wins away, I believe, from making the Olympic team. Unfortunately, she did not make it, but still putting up a great performance. And she's someone you don't want to mess with. You don't want to get in her way. What can you tell me about Rebecca Main?
Rebecca Main, when you see her, you know Rebecca's a fighter. I mean, like, you can look at her and it just oozes out of her pores.
She's got that stoic look.
Definitely. And Rebecca, you know, she went to the Olympic the Olympic qualifiers. She won that, and I actually got a chance to watch those fights. She won a lot of those fights with ease. And with Rebecca Main, I think she's people underestimate her with her skill level, because the way she looked, now she does come out and she presses you, but Rebecca has a lot of skill as well. If you watch just her movement, you know, just watch the hand speed, just watch just how she plays her shots, you know, you can tell she's a very skilled fighter. And I tell everybody right now, in my book, I think she's the best female fighter right now out of the Pittsburgh area. And I mean, I'm looking forward to see, because I would think sooner or later, I would probably say within the next year or so, she's going to be going pro. And I can't wait to see her on that rise to that pro level.
Oh, whenever the gloves get thinner, the headgear comes off, you know she's definitely going to get some knockouts, because she has some power, that's for sure. Another person with some power, Danny Bodish, is next up on our list. What do you got to say about him?
Wow, Danny is an amazing fighter. I mean, his IQ sharp. He's in there. He kind of put me in the mind of a smaller version of Keontae. Just his whereabouts of knowing where he's at in the ring, and just being so skilled and so smooth. I mean, Danny, like when you look at him, like you can see how he finds his shots. You can look at his eyes and just tell how he's so poised in the ring and just picking his opponent apart. I mean, and like in the Olympics, I think he made it to the second round. I mean, and those guys are, you know, I mean, those guys are the upper the third round. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He made it to the third round, and those guys are the upper echelon of fighters coming up in those amateur rings. And he made it look easy. He made it look easy.
So what do you think he has to do to take the next step to being an elite fighter?
Stay in the gym. Keep learning. Keep learning. Keep listening to his coach. I mean, he has a world-renowned coach in Tommy Ankello. I mean, very, very good coach. I know him. I mean, I've spoken to him before. I mean, and actually, Tommy used to coach Roy Jones Jr. So I mean, he all he has to do is listen to his coach, stay in the gym, and I could see him being a world champion one day.
So that takes us to another fighter on the up and up. Jerome Baxter's been making a lot of noise in amateur boxing. What's he got in his arsenal that you see that's very impressive for him?
Jerome, I say here for the Roxamore Sports Network, Jerome is the most outstanding fighter that I've seen here. Like, Jerome has this I won't quit. I'm going to walk you down. I'm going to break you down. I'm going to break your will. And when you see Jerome fight, it's brutal in that ring.
He has the eye of the tiger.
Oh my God! Like when you see the shots that he's hitting his opponents with, right, and to see those opponents' face, it's crazy. Like he literally breaks them. Like literally breaks their component. He breaks his opponent down to where there's nothing left. I mean, and you can tell some of those guys, I think they just quit because they see that there's nothing they can do to stop this guy from coming. And I would probably say Jerome is going to be looking to turn pro pretty soon. And that's another journey that I can't wait to see, because I know he's going to do well in that pro rank. I would probably say with him and Ted, like Ted may drop him down another weight class, I'm not sure if he will or not, but I know they would do the right thing. But and like I said, and I know Jerome's a hard worker, and I know Ted is smart. Ted is Coach Ted. He's very smart in his game. He's well known here in the Pittsburgh area. So I know that Jerome I know he's going to do the things that he needs to do to get to the next level because he's a hard worker.
So with boxing taking off and being such a great thing here in Pittsburgh, how can people get their kids involved in boxing? Is there anything they can do? Is there local gyms that they can bring kids to that might be interested in?
And yes,
venturing off into that?
And basically what I would say is just to look up your local gyms. And I always say some people have a preference of who they want to train them and things of that nature. But a lot of the times it's about word of mouth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm originally from Virginia, but what I've known here, living here in Pennsylvania, the hotbed of boxing would be Philly. So I think a lot of people here, some of the people here don't really see boxing for it to be as big as it is. But boxing here in Pittsburgh right now is hot. It's on fire here in Pittsburgh right now. And I'm happy to be a part of this and to see everything take off and just to ride that train to where I know it's going to be. I'd probably say in the next maybe 4 to 5 years, I can see that paradigm shift switching to Pittsburgh. And I want to have my hand in doing that.
In 4 to 5 years down the road, a boxer, and the next one we have on our list, he's definitely going to be making a name for himself. Just a pure athlete, LaRon Rockymore, the Lion Rockymore, and a lot of untapped potential. Do you think we're really just seeing the tip of the iceberg with this kid?
Yes, and I'm not just saying that because I'm his coach, but to be in the gym with him and see him just that blood, sweat, and tears in the gym. That's LaRon, and academically in school, the kid goes to Penn State, great school. Just seeing the things just seeing his rise in this boxing game, and then the rise as a young adult. He comes from a great family. His dad helps me coach him as well. You know what I mean? So just seeing LaRon from where he started from to where he's at today, and just being as athletic as he is as a coach, I can't teach athleticism. He picks up on this game like boom, and it's never a coach, I can't do that, or a coach, I'm not comfortable doing that. It's basically, coach, let's do it. Just keep teaching me how to do it. And he, like I say, he picks up on it so quickly. And LaRon, he's a national champion. And I know that's one accolade that he was proud to get. But and I look at it, he's looking at he's looking at 2020. He wants that title again. And we're shooting for it again this year. So to see him coming through the amateur ranks to get where he's at now, I would probably say in the next maybe 2 years, I give him maybe another 2 years maybe, and I'll say we're going pro, and I could see him doing big things at that level.
A few times I've spoken with him, he seemed to love boxing. You see some people, they just light up when you talk to them about something that they're doing, and he seems to love it. So when you have a love for something, you're gonna be successful when you put the effort into being good at it.
Definitely, and that's LaRon all day.
And another guy on the up and up, one of the actually we have 2 more on our list, Donovan Evans.
Donovan. What can I say about Donovan, man? Very up and coming. He's an up and coming amateur, and when I say up and coming, it's the train coming. Donovan, again, power in both hands. I've seen him in this, and I think he only have 8 fights. I think he's 6-2, but I've seen him hurt guys with either hand. But then I turn around and I say, I look at that and I go, man, that kid is in the gym every single day. And the work that he put in when when everyone leaves the gym, he's still there. And I tell guys, when there's nobody's watching, is when greatness is happening, and that's Donovan.
Yeah, and you hear the cliche all the time, hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, we can tell with this Evans kid, he's working hard. He may not be the most blessed boxer in the world, but when it comes to his work ethic, it's going to put him at the top of the ranks whenever it comes down to it. And our final boxer from the amateur division, we have Lil Ricky Carter, someone that's really caught your eye. What have you seen from him that really makes you believe that he has some potential?
Man, I love Lil Ricky, man. I mean, great kid. And I sat back, and he was in a pretty bad car accident earlier this year. You know, one of those accidents where you don't know if he was gonna make it in life. So you wasn't even worrying about him coming back and boxing.
Wow.
That wasn't even a thought. It was just get better, you know. And then for him to come back, and have the comeback, and like I said, I give him the comeback of the year. I mean, to see him. If I didn't tell you he was in the accident, you guys wouldn't know. You could not tell. I mean, the kid, he's had, I think he's had 3 fights now since he's been back, you know, and just looking at him, seeing the skill, seeing the tenacity that he has when he's in the ring, the athleticism. I mean, he's doing this thing effortlessly right now, you know, and I think having that accident gave him a new start in life.
New purpose.
Yeah, a new purpose. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think he has a sense of urgency right now, and he's putting on like mind-blowing performances.
Probably
you know?
a new appreciation for being able to box too.
Oh.
Became that, you know, from that difficult of, you know, almost tragic of an accident to be able to come back and box again. I mean, you know, that's got to
mean something.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, some of those pictures that his dad was showing me, they was pretty bad. But to see this kid that I see now, I mean, I'm so proud of him, man. I mean, big time.
Yeah, it's a great story for the comeback of Ricky Carter. So we have one more boxer left on our slate, Maximus the Gladiator Ruiz. And it's very funny that we're celebrating the start of a new decade because this kid's only been alive for 1 decade. 9 years old, Maximus Ruiz, 2nd place in nationals, and a kid that I can't even imagine when he gets older because the skills he has right now are just out of this world.
Man, amazing. To see him, you know what I mean, just a regular little kid, just happy-go-lucky. You know, I see him and his dad, you know what I mean, interacting. I mean, you look at him, and he's just this cute little kid, you know what I mean? He's just a cute little kid. But then throw that headgear on him, throw the gloves on him, he's a gladiator.
Yeah.
You know, he turns from this cute little kid into a gladiator. You know, silver glove winner, you know, state regional champion. And the thing that I tell people that you look at this little kid and you wouldn't imagine this little kid being everything that he is. And I mean, these other things that I say, like with him winning the Junior Olympics, 55 pounds.
Wow.
55 pounds. You know, he's just a little lightning bolt in that ring. Right. You know what I mean? But he's skilled. And you look at him and you can tell he's just being a kid and having fun. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, he's having fun. And right now, currently, he's ranked number 1 right now in USA boxing in the country.
That's great.
It's crazy to see. Crazy to see those pictures. The gloves are almost the same size as his body. It's crazy.
And I mean, and to see him and his dad react, and just the excitement, you know. And his dad, great guy. You know what I mean? Great guy. And just seeing them two react, man. I know he has to be a proud father. You know what I mean? And like I said, with that kid, he wins. He's so appreciative. You know what I mean? Real mild mannered. Just walks over, shake your hand. Hey, you know, gets out of the ring, and you'll never even know if he won or not. He's still just that little kid running around, and you know, just having him around sometime. Like, you know, he'd be at the fights. He's like, hey, how you doing? You know, and he's just so friendly. It's amazing. It's amazing to sit back and watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will bring us to the end of the 2019 year in review. I'd like to thank Hiawatha Hudson and Craig Thomas for joining us this evening. It's been a great night of highlights and really showing off these players. Once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us on the Roxamore Sports Network, and we'd like to remind you to keep it tuned in to our website at www.roxamoresports.com. You can also follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us. We'd like you to have a happy new year, and we know we're going to have that 2020 vision. We wish that for you as well. We'll see you next time here on the Roxamore Sports Network.
Today's episode has been brought to you by Cager's Customs Artwork. For your logos, artworks, and designs, see Cager's Customs Artwork for yours. He's done great work for us at Roxamore. He can do great work for you. Contact Cager's Customs Artwork by looking him up on Facebook. He has a Facebook page and a contact number. Reach out to Cliff Cager, and he will get your image the way that you want it. At Cager's Customs Artwork, today's sponsor for today's episode of the Roxamore Report. Today's episode is also brought to you by Worldwide, the new single release that's brought to you by Boona over at Roxamore Records. Go ahead and get your copy today. You can find it in Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, and more. Find it in all digital stores just for $1. Worldwide is brought to you today with his new national release by Boona. Get your copy today.